Hi, we're John and Helen Kimmel.
And we would like to share the remarkable story of our daughter Victoria.
Victoria was born at Walter Reed Army Medical Center, February 25, 1983. Though she was a full-term baby, she weighed a whopping 4 pounds 3 ounces at birth. She was also born without the radius bones in her arms and without bones in her thumbs. At the age of about 1 year, we began seeing blotchy red spots develop on her face, hands, and legs. Victoria also had very thin hair, no eyebrows, and was very sensitive to sunlight. I think that the doctors first mentioned the possibility of this being Rothmund-Thomson syndrome when Victoria was 2 years old. By the time Victoria was 4, she had already undergone several surgeries to center the ulna bone on her wrist and fuse the wrist for stability, and to break and straighten the ulna as it did not have the radius bone to help it grow straight. Ultimately, Victoria had pins implanted in her ulnas to help them grow straight. Despite all of this, Victoria was an extremely happy and outgoing child. She loved meeting new people, dancing, and singing. We were always worried about how Victoria would react to people staring at her or that kids would be mean to her. As it turned out, to know Victoria was to love her, and while people did stare, her kind, outgoing nature seemed to be contagious, and she had a wonderful childhood. As Victoria grew older, she began to ask more questions about Rothmund-Thomson syndrome, and she would often tell us that we just did not understand what it was like to be her. She graduated from high school and began her college studies. Miraculously, at the age of 19, Victoria found another person with RTS while searching the World Wide Web. We will never forget that day. The excitement in Victoria's speech, her eyes, and her body language was unbelievable. Victoria had found Sean. Sean told Victoria about the doctors at Baylor College of Medicine and their studies on RTS and its linkage to cancer. The rest is history. Victoria contacted Dr. Wong, and before we knew it, we were in Houston to participate in Dr. Wong's studies, and even better, to meet Sean in person. Victoria and Sean talked for hours. Victoria graduated from George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia, with a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology. While attending college, Victoria continued to pursue her real passion, that being educating families about Rothmund-Thomson syndrome. On her own, Victoria established the www.rtsplace.org website to share information with others. She became one of the founding members of the RTS Awareness and Support Group, and as some would say, she was the heart and soul of the organization. If you have read Victoria's story on our website, you will see her last update at the age of 24. She had recently been diagnosed with melanoma on her lip and had undergone successful surgery to remove it. While she had a clear bill of health, she was destined for 6-month checkups to ensure that the cancer had not spread. In October 2008, Victoria began experiencing stomach pains. We discovered that the melanoma had metastasized to her liver and that it was inoperable. Prior to her death, Victoria asked that we contact Dr. Wang to see if we could donate her body for RTS research. On January 31st, 2009, Victoria passed away in our home, less than a month from her 26th birthday. Per her wish, we had bone samples preserved and sent to Baylor Medical Center for future RTS research. In Victoria's memory, we began efforts to establish the Rothmund-Thomson Syndrome Foundation, a nonprofit corporation whose goal is to foster worldwide awareness and education about RTS and related disorders, and to encourage research through support of scientists and physicians devoted to studying RTS and related syndromes. The RTS Foundation was established on 5 November 2009 and is recognized by the IRS as a 501c3 charitable organization. Victoria posted the following story on her website at the age of 24. Shortly after I was born, I was diagnosed with Rothmund-Thomson syndrome. Little did I know what type of effect it would have on me and the world around me. As if the world wasn't already scary to me as a child, God had to add an extra spin to it and make me special. Imagine being a full foot shorter than every other kid in your class. Imagine missing the radius bones in your forearm and the bones in your thumbs. Or imagine being a teenage girl with a blotchy skin condition and a receding hairline. Well, if you can imagine all that, welcome to my world. I happen to be one of the lucky ones that also has keratosis on my feet and hands. It's really not that bad, but in the winter or dry, cold weather, I tend to get cracks on my hands and feet that bleed, so I end up wearing Band-Aids a lot. My friends call me the Band-Aid Queen. I always have some with me. I am inquisitive and outgoing by nature, so it was only natural that I would ask my parents and doctors a lot of questions about my condition and conduct research myself online. Since RTS is so rare, with only a couple hundred cases documented, it was a struggle to really figure out how my syndrome would affect me as I grew older. Medical journals and papers can only tell you so much if you can understand them at all. For a long time I was feeling alone in the world, with no one to talk to. I tried talking to my parents and they helped as much as they could. My friends would do their best to cheer me up from whatever slump I was in at the time. While this helped in the short term, what I really wanted was another living, breathing person with RTS to share my feelings, fears, and experiences with. One day, while searching the internet for anything I could find associated with my syndrome, I found a web page dealing with RTS. My heart skipped a few beats when I saw this. I opened the page to find out that this guy, Sean, had RTS and was looking for other people with RTS. The thought of finally being able to talk with someone with RTS was almost too much for me to handle. That was by far the best day of my life. It was a dream come true. We have been emailing each other now for a few years, and it has been unbelievable. It turns out that we both had the feeling of being alone in the world, with no one to talk to, being picked on by people at school, and being looked at constantly. In the summer of 2002, I had the opportunity to go to Texas to meet with Dr. Wong at Baylor University. Dr. Wong is conducting a major research project on RTS and cancer. My family is now part of their study. It is a great feeling to know that we are helping researchers find out more about RTS. There are so many unknowns today. While in Texas, I got to meet Sean for the first time. It was so nice to be able to sit down and talk to someone about everything and anything for hours. Since my trip to Texas in 2002, I have been back one other time to meet other people with RTS. It's hard to believe that 6 years ago I was alone in the world. I am so grateful that I have people to talk to about RTS. It's not that my friends and family aren't supportive, but you have to have this syndrome to be able to really understand some things. No one really knows what it's like to be looked at by everyone you pass by. Having kids run behind their parents telling them, "Look at that girl. Why does she look like that?" No one can really understand how that feels. I'm finding it easier to deal with things day after day when you know there's someone to talk to if you need them. I would love to be able to work with Dr. Wong in the future, or at least at the same hospital, so I can meet people as they come in. I would also really like to see a support group that started for us. You know, like being able to hang with all these cool people for days. For now, I'm keeping busy with my last few semesters at college. I have my associates in psychology, and I'm currently at George Mason University getting my Bachelor of Science in Psychology. It's been a rough 2006-2007 since there was a bunch of medical issues going on. And to think I was doing so well for a long time, no broken bones, not sick, well, knock on wood, I guess. But now I'm happy to say that while I had to deal with melanoma there for a little while, I seem to be okay now, and just need to keep an eye on things, like I was. In Victoria's memory, the Rothmund-Thomson Center Foundation was founded 5 November 2009 and is recognized by the IRS as a 501c3 charitable organization.
Thank you for listening to Victoria's story. Please keep her dream alive by making a donation today to the Rothmund-Thomson Syndrome Foundation. Thank you.